The Romagna plant, the largest oil refinery in Ploiesti, is only one of 11 in a great industrial complex. This single city, 35 miles north of Bucharest, supplies nearly 1/3 of all the oil for the German war machine. Here is the food for the mechanized army, for the Luftwaffe, and for the Grand Fleet. When German soldiers first come across the Romanian border in 1940, they come not as invaders, but as invited guests of the government. The welcome is warm, the duty considered choice. Romanian guidebooks list the country's chief natural resources as cereal and oil. The Germans are not interested in cereal. In exchange for military aid, the Romanian government allows Germany to take over control of the oil refineries in Ploiesti. Hitler calls Ploiesti indispensable to the German cause. He places the job of protecting it in the hands of Luftwaffe Colonel Alfred Gerstenberg, regarded by many as the air defense genius of the war. Then, for almost 2 years, nothing interrupts the production of oil. Not even the Americans' first surprise bomber raid in the middle of 1942. Still, the attempt has made Gerstenberg uneasy. He tells his staff, this is the beginning, and demands more reinforcements. One of the men to arrive is 40-year-old Hermann Scheifele. As a lieutenant in the Luftwaffe, he will serve as adjutant for the 5th Anti-Aircraft Group.
I'm one of the first to become lieutenant in my regiment, and I must say I enjoy life with the soldiers. I like being a soldier, and in Persia it is especially good. Of course, we sometimes suffer a little from the heat, but we have light uniforms to wear, and the atmosphere amongst us is good.
Gerstenberg works 16 hours a day to make Ploiesti attack-proof. He builds protective walls around the refineries. The entire city and all approaches are surrounded by a ring of artillery. All the refineries around Ploiesti are tied together by a single emergency pipeline. In that way, even if a refinery is damaged, oil can continue to flow. Russian prisoners and Romanian laborers are used to speed up construction. As added protection, an intricate network of warning systems is set up, able to detect enemy aircraft hundreds of miles from the city. Ploiesti becomes a colossal fortress. July 1943, American B-24s come in for a landing at Benghazi in North Africa. Here in this desert base, captured only 2 months earlier from Rommel's Africa Corps, they will train for a top-secret mission, codenamed Operation Tidal Wave. Among the new arrivals is 26-year-old Air Corps Major Norman Affold. A B-24 pilot, Affold is a squadron commander in the 376th Bomber Group.
Most of us have no idea what this is all about. We don't know any of these men we're assigned to, yet they are our friends. We're strangers, but we have to work together. Living in the desert is certainly a new experience. It's cold in the morning and hot in the daytime. Strictly a blowing sand and dust situation on many days. You are eating it and gulping it. The conditions are primitive, but when you're 26, it's an adventure. You're no longer living in the protective atmosphere of restaurants and private homes. I don't really think I'd want to go through it every day for a living, but there's not much point in complaining.
Roaring 10 feet over the dunes at 200 miles an hour, the pilots learn to handle 70,000 pounds of armored airplane like a torpedo bomber.
The B-24s are not really built for low-level flying. They're big, clumsy-looking airplanes. We call them elephants and pregnant cows.
Every day, the B-24s race over the desert floor, perfecting bombing and navigational accuracy, learning to zero in on target from a visual checkpoint.
From all the practice, we know we're going for a low-level target. But nobody but the planners really seems to know where or what it is.
While the Americans are living one kind of life in the desert, the Germans are living an altogether different kind in Ploiesti.
We are paid in Romanian money, and as long as our money lasts, we can live very well. Mostly the soldiers do not spend much. There is plenty of good wine which we buy from the estates and wonderful tasting cigarettes. Very cheap too, only a pfennig each. Sometimes it seems like the war is being fought in another world, but that's only sometimes. One can never really forget that he's stationed in an area that is an important target. The general has ordered the German and Romanian planes to stage practice attacks on Ploiesti on every exercise flight, and we have an alarm almost every day. Even on Sundays, our defense is kept constantly alert. They dive all over the place, and we never know when the next alarm is coming.
The last week in July, the American bomber crews find out what they have been practicing for. For the first time in war, fighting men are shown a motion picture simulating the target they are about to hit. This film, shown to them at different speeds, has been made by shooting a scale model of Ploiesti from a tricycle.
How well the valley shows up behind the target. Note the oil derricks to the south of the target. These are your targets. The white arrow on the screen points to the boiler house and powerhouse, without which your refinery cannot operate. This arrow points to the distillation plant. This next arrow also points to another section of the same distillation plant. And finally, this arrow to the cracking plant. All these points are vital parts of the target. And these are the refineries which you are not going to attack. They are not worth a bomb. Not this one. Not this one. Nor this one. And not this one. The aircraft on the screen are on the line of your run-up to the target. This is the line of attack. The fighter defenses at Ploiesti are not strong, and the majority of the fighters will be flown by Romanian pilots who are thoroughly bored with the war. The anti-aircraft defenses of Ploiesti are estimated at 80 heavy AA guns and 160 light AA guns. The heavy ack should not trouble you at low altitude. All the anti-aircraft guns are manned by Romanians, and so there's a pretty good chance that there may be incidents like there were in Italy at the beginning of the war, when civilians could not get into the shelters because they were filled with anti-aircraft gunners. You remember the raid on Tokyo? That was a big job and an important job. And the first daylight raid on Europe by our flying fortresses, that was another big job. But the Nazis and the Wops ain't felt nothing yet.
We believe that the Nazis and the fascists have asked for it, and they're going to get it.
The job of knocking out the Romanian refineries is the biggest job of the war. It's your job. Okay, let's hit it.
Monday morning, August 1st, 1943. The wait is over. 177 B-24s speed down the runways on the African desert. Target, Ploesti.
A lot of people criticize the plan for a low-level bombing, but I think it's a good idea. Stay low and the enemy radar can't pick you up. It's your best chance for surprise.
From Benghazi, one message is sent, warning Allied battle stations around the Mediterranean to expect the friendly aircraft. A cracked German signal unit in Greece intercepts the message and breaks the code.
When you fly a mission, you know it's a great adventure, but you're worried about your crew, about running out of gas, about the great unknown, the target itself, and about getting back. Sure, you're scared. I don't think there's a person in this world who wouldn't be. If you're not, you're probably a fool. I think everybody wishes we had a fighter escort along, but for fighters, Ploesti is too far. We're going deeper into enemy territory than we've ever gone before.
11:30 a.m. Halfway to the target, the lead plane goes haywire. Lost with the falling plane is the only navigator specifically trained to lead the attack force into Ploesti.
You know an accident like that caused the loss of 8 or 9 lives, and you begin to realize how serious this business of being in a war is. You also work a little harder, because you don't want the same thing to happen to you. We hit heavy clouds and the formations start to separate. Some of them head under, but my boss up front starts to climb and I go with him.
The planes are now out of order. Some try to reassemble. The rest speed to the first checkpoint. 12:20 noon. The German radar stations at Ploesti pick up the formation for the first time as it climbs to 16,000 feet to fly over the mountains of Yugoslavia. All indications point to one target, Ploesti. p.m. The lead plane makes a fatal mistake. Thinking the final checkpoint has been reached, it suddenly turns.
My navigator says we shouldn't be making this turn at all. I keep hoping I'm wrong, and we all keep looking for Ploesti.
Finally, the lead plane realizes its mistake, corrects its course, and radios new orders. Break formation and strike targets of opportunity. Carries more than 2.5 tons of explosives. The demolition bombs are especially made with delayed fuses. Some won't go off for 6 hours after they're dropped. Others will explode in about 45 seconds. Precise timing is essential. The last wave of planes has just enough time to get out of the target area before the fireworks start.
I've never seen such large machines, flying lower than I have ever seen in Romania. Right away I know they are Americans.
The American bombers are entering the target area. Underneath them, the bombs of the first group are about to explode.
Turned to night, bombs and gasoline tanks are exploding everywhere. All over the city the bombs are falling and even the planes themselves are falling.
The entire raid takes only 27 minutes.
With our bombs gone, our only job now is to get back home.
Operation Tidal Wave is over. For the Americans, the casualties are appalling. 1 out of every 5 men does not return. Nearly 1/3 of the planes are lost in action. For the United States Army Air Corps, it is the worst catastrophe in its history. Nine months after Operation Tidal Wave, Allied planes return again and again to Ploiesti. Finally, in August 1944, they bomb it around the clock for 3 consecutive days. 4.5 million pounds of explosives blast a permanent hole in the Romanian oil barrel. The Germans call it the greatest blow struck by Allied air power in World War II. Lieutenant Hermann Scheifele, unwounded in the bombing raid, stays on with the Luftwaffe in Romania. Later taken prisoner by the Americans, he will serve as military governor of an occupied town in Austria. Major Norman Appold survives to keep another date with Ploiesti. He will then move to Italy as part of the Allies' final offensive against the Axis. No single mission was able to finish Ploiesti. It took thousands of planes, men, and bombs. The sacrifice was enormous. Sometimes only sacrifice can bring victory. Operation Market Garden, as it is coded, calls for the laying of a carpet of airborne troops along a narrow corridor extending 60 miles into Holland, from Eindhoven in the south to Arnhem in the north. The 2nd British Army will then push up this carpet, opening a passage into Germany through the northern plains. With Arnhem in Allied hands, the German Siegfried Line is outflanked, Holland cut in 2, and the Rhine River crossed in a single dramatic leap. It is a daring plan with strong elements of risk, but if it should succeed, the war could possibly end within a matter of weeks. Spearheading this attack will be the crack troops of the Allied Airborne Army. Attached to the 1st British Air Landing Brigade is glider pilot Sergeant Henry Waltag.
My job is to take the troops and land them behind the enemy lines. In other words, instead of going to war by bus or truck or ship, one goes to war by glider. Rumor has it that General Eisenhower is not in favor of this at all. It is Montgomery who has insisted on the operation, which is very daring. It's going to be sticky, you know, but what the hell?
Stationed in the Netherlands are 400,000 Germans. The Arnhem area is held by elements of the 9th and 10th SS Panzer Divisions. The number and quality is much greater than Allied intelligence suspects. One of the Wehrmacht soldiers ordered to defend Holland is Corporal Jacob Hoppenthal of the 17th Artillery Division.
I am in Breda, which is a replacement center. As a Waffen-SS, we are thought of as a special force, something like the Marines or the paratroopers. I can't say I feel better than any other soldier. We all have the same fighting spirit. My job is to act as a messenger. Sometimes I ride a bicycle, sometimes a motorcycle.
An essential part of the Arnhem defenses is its many anti-aircraft emplacements. These, along with the nearby Luftwaffe bases, make an air penetration particularly difficult. D-Day for Operation Market Garden has been set for September 17th. The battle plan specifies that the 1st British Airborne Division, under the command of Major General Urquhart, will take the bridge at Arnhem. The American 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, under Generals Gavin and Taylor, will take the bridges to the south at Nijmegen and Eindhoven. Once these strategic bridges are taken intact, it is estimated that the British Second Army should reach Arnhem within 2 days. On a matter of weather, Allied intelligence is optimistic. Conditions in early autumn are considered reliable.
Before takeoff, our cooks do us really proud. we consume many cups of hot tea, this time spiced with rum. It tastes absolutely wonderful. I am carrying members of the 1st Airborne Division, veterans of the North African campaign, and all very fine fellows. They march smartly into the glider and sit there, nervously awaiting takeoff.
Sunday, September 17th is clear and sunny, with a forecast of more of the same. At 8 a.m., 4,600 British and American aircraft are readied at 22 airfields in England.
It is a lovely day as we head for the North Sea. The English countryside has never looked more beautiful. The boys feel fine now and paint obscene words on the sides of the glider. Some of the tow lines break and 4 or 5 gliders go down. There's very little you can do to get out of a glider. There's no way to escape. I wouldn't mind going down over England now, but not over the North Sea.
Crossing is made with little interference. As one pilot puts it, it is a piece of cake.
I look up suddenly and see aircraft and gliders approaching. What is it all about? Where are they coming from? The gliders swinging back off the big planes reminds me of beginners who can fly very well. Everybody watches. Then we realize that the men in the planes are Tommies, and the cannons begin.
The leading gliders have pulled off and are making their way to the landing zones. It's rather like Piccadilly Circus. There are fighters above us, bombers that tow us, and Dakotas dropping parachute troops. It's rather congested, to say the least. Where shall we land? We just cannot go down willy-nilly. The best thing to do is to get out of this traffic jam pretty quickly. I find a spot, put on full flaps, and head my nose straight down.
Of the 359 gliders that have taken off from England, only 40 failed to land on Dutch soil. It has been a textbook drop. September 17th, 1944. The British paratroopers have landed 6 to 8 miles to the west of Arnhem due to the heavy German flak concentrations around the city. Men of the 1st Parachute Brigade set off for the highway bridge straddling the Rhine. other units in the first drop will remain near the landing zones until the second lift has arrived.
It is left to our discretion as to what we will do. We can either try to make our way back or stay with the chaps we've brought in. We decide to stay. There's bound to be a bit of excitement.
The Germans recover quickly from their initial surprise. Reinforcements are rushed in. Orders go out that the bridges are to be held at all costs and that further landings can be expected and must be firmly resisted. The invaders' intentions are confirmed when the Germans accidentally discover a complete copy of the Allied battle plan. The warning on the first page, not to be taken into the air, had been ignored by a nameless casualty. The British have managed to obtain a foothold at the southern end of the Arnhem Bridge. But as darkness falls and fresh German reinforcements arrive, it becomes evident that the northern end will be more difficult to secure. In the Nijmegen area, the American 82nd Airborne has managed to take its preliminary objectives. The town of Graves has been captured and the Maas River crossed. At Eindhoven, the American 101st Airborne has approached the town on schedule, but has been stopped by strong German resistance just south of it. Units of the British Second Army have crossed the Dutch border and have begun their drive northwards, preceded by rocket-firing Typhoons. Operations further south are being carried out with relative degrees of success. The situation at Arnhem is growing hourly more difficult. The streets have begun to resemble a battlefield as guns and equipment are moved into private dwellings. The fighting is becoming vicious as German reinforcements and armored equipment pour into the area. Communications among the hard-hit British units is fragmentary, but it is apparent that the bridge is being held against overwhelming odds. Reinforcements are now vital if the bridgehead is to be maintained. The next day, in the early afternoon, the second airdrop takes place. Armed with the Allied battle plan, the Germans are prepared. Opposition is heavy. Many of the parachute troops are picked off as they descend. Others land in trees where their lines become hopelessly entangled. One of the British officers calls it a grossly untidy situation.
perhaps a rifle. The planes are so low, one can shoot at them from point-blank range. We have captured a glider full of men and equipment. They are young, most of them. I'm curious to see them. I almost want to touch them, to feel what the enemy is like. I've never seen the enemy before. We say nothing to them. Finally, our sergeant major takes them away.
Fighting to the west of Arnhem is now house to house, garden to garden, cellar to cellar. Apprehension spreads among the beleaguered British units. Ammunition is running low. The 1st British Airborne stands to be wiped out if more reinforcements do not arrive soon.
We have been fighting without food for 3 days. Most of the supplies parachuted to us have been grabbed by the Germans, who now occupy our drop zones.
There's much fighting going on not far from us, but our knowledge of the enemy's movements is confined to the settings on our guns. We make a little adjustment to the left or to the right, but we can't really see what we are shooting.
The British grip on the Arnhem Bridge is slipping. German tanks push into the area at a swift rate. The British force has been whittled down. Their one hope is that they can hold on until Second Army units push up from the south.
We are being gradually overrun by the Germans. We are here without food, or water, or ammunition, or tanks. We have nothing but 7-pounders and small arms. I can't call the Germans cowards. They should come in and overpower us, but they don't.
By September 21st, the bridge at Nijmegen has been crossed, and British land forces reach the southern bank of the Rhine, opposite Arnhem. At this moment, the German panzers launch a furious counterattack. The British are forced off the bridgehead, and German tanks push across unopposed.
There are Germans across the street. One of them gets on a loudspeaker and calls for us to surrender.
Gentlemen of the 1st Airborne Division, you are gallant, wonderful soldiers. However, you are completely surrounded. Your officers are captured. If you come out with your hands up, we will treat you according
As this crowd talks on, we gather up every available weapon and at a given signal, let go with everything we've got.
The remnants of the 1st British Airborne are now confined to a 450-acre perimeter just outside of Arnhem. There is the smell of battle everywhere. The Germans have nicknamed it Der Kessel, or the Cauldron, because it is under constant bombardment. On the evening of September 21st, General Urquhart sends an emergency communique to Allied headquarters. Balance of division in very tight perimeter. Our casualties heavy. Resources stretched to utmost. Relief within 24 hours vital.
I have lost 2 of my best friends. I saw one of them just after he had been hit by a shrapnel. I said, "John, how are you doing? What do you want me to tell your wife?" He did not speak, he was dead. At that moment, I could feel anger welling inside me. I had lost someone close, someone who had been with me a long time.
During the last 3 days, every effort has been made to link up units of the British Second Army with the battered defenders at Arnhem, but without success. Now plans for the evacuation of 1st Airborne are put into effect. The 1st Polish Parachute Brigade has obtained a beachhead on the Rhine. Together with units of the British 43rd Infantry Division, they push toward the Cauldron, where they will assist the 1st Airborne in its withdrawal.
We've been told to destroy whatever weapons we are going to leave behind and take only our personal weapons with us. We crawl on our bellies to the main road. We are going around in circles, trying to find our way through to the river. A figure steps out of the shadows and says, "I say, you chaps, are you for the river?" And we answer, "Yes." "Well, follow that white line," he says. They have laid white tape on the ground to guide us to the river. 2,100 men are able to reach the safety of the south bank. By morning, further evacuation is impossible. German machine guns sweep the river. On September 26th, panzers move into the Cauldron unopposed. The once peaceful city of Arnhem lies in ruins. Sergeant Henry Waltag, wounded at Arnhem, will escape to England, where he will spend the 8 remaining months of the war. Corporal Jacob Hoppenthal will later fight in Czechoslovakia and at Lubeck, Germany, where he is taken prisoner by the British. Of the 10,000 paratroopers who have landed north of the Rhine, over 1,100 will remain behind forever, and more than 6,000 are captured by the Germans. Operation Market Garden was divided into 2 parts. Market was the airdrop. Garden was the ground operation. The first failed. The second was a success. The men at Arnhem, in the words of Churchill, have performed a feat of arms which will be remembered and recounted as long as the virtues of courage and resolution have power to move the hearts of men. By the end of 1944, the Allied armies in Europe are threatening the German homeland itself. Hitler is much like an animal at bay. He must strike back or perish. He believes that a heavy concentration of troops in one supreme and daring effort may turn the clock back to 1940, drive the Americans and the British all the way back to the Channel ports, and force them into a negotiated peace. It is a desperate risk, but Hitler must take it. Hitler first broaches his plan in September 1944 as the British and American forces prepare their final smash into Germany. In the center of the front is a rugged 85-mile area, the Ardennes Forest. The plan, a surprise attack punching through the weak spot in overwhelming numbers, seize several road junctions and river bridges, then drive to the sea at Antwerp, then squeeze as they did in 1940.
Although several generals feel the plan much too ambitious to be sustained, all follow the Führer. Late in October, the Germans begin secretly moving their units to points east of the Ardennes without arousing allied suspicions. 25 divisions, 250,000 men, roll toward the Western Front. Attached to the 2nd Panzer Division is a mortar unit commander, Lieutenant Werner Polchow.
2 days ago, my mortar group was ordered out from the Westwall bunkers and sent to this regrouping area. There's a coming and going like I have not seen for some time. There are very many modern and good war vehicles, and quite a few highly decorated officers and soldiers from other fronts. Also, many young soldiers who never before have seen battle. They are excited from all this activity and weapons. From the outside look of things, it seems that a whole new army has come into existence.
Aliens fleeing Germany and Luxembourg provide hints of troop concentrations. Captured German soldiers tell Allied captors an attack is being mounted. When a First Army intelligence officer warns it might come in the Ardennes, his colleagues suggest he suffers from battle fatigue. All agree the Germans are on their last legs. They can't possibly launch a counteroffensive. North of the Ardennes, the Allies have 16 divisions poised on the approaches to Germany's western border. Half of them battle-wise, but exhausted. The rest, green and untested. South of the forest, there are 10 American divisions preparing for an offensive into Germany's Saar region. The American Third Army under General George Patton is scheduled to begin the attack on December 19th. One of Patton's tankers in the 4th Armored Division is Sergeant Leroy Valheim.
Our outfit has been off the line for about a week now. The mud and goo more or less neutralized us, so we're taking a breather and working over our tanks, changing oil, tightening up the tracks, and fixing everything that accumulates from day to day when you're on the go. In about another week, we'll probably be shoving off again. Right now, though, everybody is enjoying the extra shut-eye we're getting.
The order is given. General von Manteuffel says to the officers in our division, "Gentlemen, let's go. Cross the river Meuse and reach Antwerp without looking left or right." That is the shortest order I ever have received. We old, experienced soldiers feel that this attack can only be the last struggle. But the young men are impressed. They have enthusiasm. They believe the war can be turned in our favor.
Early morning, December 16th. A shattering barrage of German artillery and rocket fire lights the skies. Weather for the next several days provides effective cover for the German might that floods the roads. In the center, the Germans gouge a 12-mile corridor to the approaches of Bastogne. They are ordered to surround and bypass this town, then drive for the river Meuse, the first goal. There is all-out confusion. Communications are sketchy. American troops suddenly discover Germans in front and behind them. Panzers, under cover of fog and rain, slip into American armored columns, then blast the Americans off the road.
So far, the resistance has been sporadic. The Americans are caught off guard by the surprise of our attack. They don't know what all the shooting is about, since it is coming from every direction.
10,000 troops of the Green U.S. 106th Division, the Golden Lion, are encircled by the Germans. Their officers see no way out. More than 7,000 soldiers of the 106th destroy their arms and give up. Next to Bataan, this is the largest mass surrender in American military history. German deceptions wear on the nerves of U.S. troops. English-speaking German soldiers in American uniforms, even jeeps, infiltrate American positions. They are few in number, their acts are limited, but the psychological effect of their penetration is enormous. Soon every stranger in American uniform is suspect. Passwords go out the window. Unless you know modern American folklore, you're in trouble. One American general is held in a cellar by MPs for 5 hours because he doesn't know how many home runs Babe Ruth hit in his best year. "15,000 American airborne troops are rushed as reserves to defense positions around Bastogne. In command, General Anthony McAuliffe, acting commander of the 101st Airborne Division.
Quite near Bastogne, our unit encounters very strong fire from the American infantry. They are skillful with their defenses, so our panzers bypass the town. Then we bring up our mortars and artillery and start firing on the enemy emplacements.
Elsewhere, with communications shattered, other Americans fight isolated holding actions. Cooks, orderlies, supply personnel pick up guns, fight as infantry. So do the engineers and artillerymen. Gradually, small, scattered units hold up the German advance, especially around St. Vith. Hitler's timetable, 2 days to the Meuse, is upset. On battle maps, the German salient quickly has taken on the appearance of a bulge extending well into Allied position. The Ardennes offensive becomes known as the Battle of the Bulge.
It doesn't take long for orders to come down from headquarters. We get 2 hours to load our tanks with extra gas and be ready to pull out. I'm in command of a light tank with a crew of 3 men. 1 man goes after rations, another gathers up our bedding, while 2 of us tend to the tank. It's one big rush. But by 2200, we, and I guess the rest of the division, are ready to shove off.
It becomes obvious Hitler is risking everything in one last desperate military gamble. On the 3rd day, General Eisenhower orders General Patton's 3rd Army to attack the German flank and relieve Bastogne. Patton, with his army 125 miles south of the Bulge, replies with a near impossible statement. We attack the day after tomorrow. December 20th. The Battle of the Bulge is in its 5th day. American forces are reeling under the impact of the mighty German offensive. General Patton and his 3rd Army are driving north toward Bastogne to counterattack. A freeze sets in so the roads can support the heavy armor.
The whole division is on the go. Somebody must be in a hell of a hurry because every vehicle is ordered to drive with lights on. It's definitely not according to the book, but we're making fast time. Between looking out for enemy planes and watching the tank running ahead of us, I feel like a swivel head. Each man takes his turn at driving while the rest of us sleep curled up in our seats. Radio silence is being maintained, so there's no way of knowing what's up. We just follow along and hope the guy leading the column knows where he's heading.
December 21st. It's snowing throughout the Ardennes. Saint-Vith falls to the Germans. Now the center route across the Ardennes is wide open. The Germans flow around Bastogne on all sides, drawing a noose of steel about the beleaguered garrison.
For the past 48 hours, we have been fighting in close quarters with the enemy. Even my mortar crew fights now as infantry. Every minute has its crisis. We are shooting, throwing grenades, and doing even worse things. Otherwise, you cannot hope to survive.
December 22nd. The situation in Bastogne grows desperate. Ammunition is short. McAuliffe's artillery battalions are down to 10 rounds per gun. The American casualties reach an average of 1,200 men a day. The Germans send an emissary to Bastogne with an ultimatum to surrender or be destroyed. General McAuliffe's reply is short and to the point. Nuts. The same day, Patton's advance columns reach the southern flank of the Bulge. The German 7th Army is prepared for them. There's no hope of a quick breakthrough to relieve the town.
The fog's so thick, you can't see more than 100 yards. We've come a long way, and now no one can say for sure where we are, or where the enemy is. I begin to think we're lucky it's foggy, or we might be sitting ducks in this narrow road.
The next day, December 23rd, dawns bright and sunny. Perfect flying weather. The defenders of Bastogne cheer as Allied planes fly overhead to bomb and strafe the enemy. And more important, to drop supplies. Not all that's needed, but enough to enable the Americans to hang on. Christmas Eve. The battle is now 10 days old.
For this night, we are quartered in an old barn. When we took it over, the owners disappeared. While we are singing our Christmas carols, the farmer returns with his whole family. We invite them to join our celebration. Everything we have in food, cigarettes and schnapps, we divide evenly. For the moment, we forget about the war.
Nobody knows what the general situation is. What we hold is ours, and that's all. Right now, it's a barnyard with a couple pieces of artillery we're protecting.
Christmas Day. Word is received that the western spearhead of the German 2nd Panzer Division has been stopped, just short of the Meuse. It's not good news to the men of Bastogne. They anticipate the powerful tank division will now turn back to hit them. They're right. Hitler is told by his generals that they can't reach the Meuse, much less the English Channel. Furious, he orders an all-out attack on Bastogne.
Some of our panzers break into Bastogne itself this morning. But the Americans put up very strong opposition. They still hold the town. I'm directing mortar fire on the enemy positions. We are spotted, and right away, heavy artillery fire comes raining down all around us. Our battery is destroyed by a direct hit. I'm wounded and evacuated to the rear.
On the afternoon of December 26th, a tank unit of Patton's 4th Armored Division punches a hole through to Bastogne. The next day, the corridor is widened. The siege is over, but not the fighting.
We're on the left flank of the road running to Bastogne, cleaning out the woods. Twice the Germans cut behind us, but infantrymen riding on the back of our tanks managed to round them up.
On January 3rd, the Allies launch a three-pronged counterattack. The Third Army continues its northward drive. The First Army continues south, and the British 30th Corps pushes in from the west. By January 16th, patrols from the 1st and 3rd Armies meet north of Bastogne. By early February, the Germans have been thrown back to where they started.
Even here in the rear, it's obvious from the great air power of the Americans how this battle will end. We cannot win. Brave men have died for nothing. Those that survive will forget the terrible times. They will talk and remember differently. Other people who listen, especially the young, will come to the conclusion their fathers fought a joyful war. How wrong that would be.
We've lost a lot of equipment and quite a few men, so we're pulling back to get reorganized. We'll draw new equipment and train new men. Then we'll be coming back up on the line again. That's for sure.
It was a remarkable feat in itself for Patton's Third Army, poised to strike eastward, to turn north and race 125 miles to the Bastogne area in just 2 days. But more important, Patton's units arrived prepared to fight immediately. Their entry into the battle doomed the last German offensive of World War II. Sergeant Leroy Valheim fights on with Patton's Third Army and wins the Bronze and Silver Stars for bravery. The end of the European War finds him in Czechoslovakia, a newly commissioned second lieutenant. After being wounded, Lieutenant Werner Polchow spends some time in a German hospital. Then, still partly crippled, he serves out the war as a non-combatant. In May, he is taken prisoner in the Ruhr Valley by the Americans. Hitler's last offensive, the Battle of the Bulge, caught the Allies by surprise. For a brief, exultant period, it raised German morale both in the army and at home. But in the end, the Bulge was turned into still another German defeat. The Germans had spent their tanks and fighting men. Little was left. The Germans have boundless faith in the great natural barrier of the Rhine. Not since Napoleon has an invading army crossed it. The Rhine bridges and every bridge in the path of the advancing army is ordered destroyed. Midway between Bonn and Koblenz on the Rhine, one bridge is still far enough behind the lines to escape destruction. It's the Ludendorff Railway Bridge at Remagen. One of the German soldiers in its demolition squad is Master Sergeant Jacob Kleibach.
Since the beginning of the war, I am assigned to guard the bridge at Remagen. It is good duty because Remagen is near my home. As the war goes on and the armies get closer, we work much harder building the defenses. It is my responsibility to blow up the bridge if it becomes necessary. I have 600 kilos explosion powder and 85 detonators. The bridge has been wired for months.
As the German front crumbles, the Nazi High Command resorts to desperate measures. An army of old people and children, the Volkssturm, is recruited. Its members ordered to fight in their own town. With armbands for uniforms and a haphazard assortment of weapons, they will be thrown into the sagging defense lines. Defeatists are threatened with death. The German who retreats now may escape the enemy's guns, only to find himself under the guns of a firing squad, or at the end of an executioner's rope. The Allied assault is divided into two parts. In the north, an army of British and American troops drive east through the Low Countries. This is the army picked by General Eisenhower to make the first spectacular leap across the Rhine and head for Berlin. Supporting Montgomery's drive are two American armies in France under the command of General Hodges and General Patton. Their job, to destroy all German forces west of the Rhine. Commanding one of General Hodges' 9th Armored Division tank platoons is Lieutenant C. Windsor Miller.
Every time we push off on a drive, we're given an objective, a town to reach, a river to reach, or something like that. On the morning of February 28th, we jump off, and this time we're headed for the Rhine. It seems like it must be 1,000,000 miles away. Nobody really knows when we'll get there. My platoon is the lead platoon when we push off. Every 24 hours, we rotate the spearhead platoon because the strain is pretty terrific when you're running up there in the front column, not knowing when they're going to knock you off. It seems like the enemy always has the benefit of the first shot when you're riding along and coming around a turn. He's out there waiting for you, and he shoots first. All the way along, we keep coming to bridges the Germans are blowing up. Some of them, they blow up right in front of us. Thank God we'll get to rest when we get to the Rhine. There won't be a bridge standing for 100 miles. Getting across it is going to be almost a naval operation.
Over the roads to Germany moves a strange landlocked fleet. LCVPs, LCMs, and amphibious assault boats of every size and description move toward the Rhine. With no hope of finding a bridge standing, the Allies themselves tried to knock out all bridges at long range and trap the retreating Germans on the west side of the Rhine.
Almost every day the bombers come now. Always they aim for the bridge, but the bombs come down all around us. If they hit it, we have to repair it. Our retreating troops and heavy vehicles as well must be able to cross it. We work hard to fix the bridge so that our soldiers can use it. As the troops retreat, my duty is to stay by the telephone, but the only thoughts that go through my head are, how can you manage to get away from here safely? I keep thinking of my wife and children, and how can I get to them? I'm not a military man, and I don't agree with this whole rubbish here anyway.
By the end of February 1945, melting snow and blown-up German dams have turned the roads into rivers of mud. Bogged down, the advancing American armor and infantry slow to a crawl. Even after the Americans get their equipment out of the mud, no speed records are set.
One thing you find out in combat is that there is no such thing as good tank country. When you're running along out there in the open, you feel a lot like you're in an inverted foxhole. You just stick up in the air. Most people don't realize how vulnerable a tank is. One shell or one man with the right weapon can turn the whole thing into a torch. Late on March 6th, we are told that our objective the next day is to reach the Rhine. We're heading for a little town called Remagen. It seems to be about 10 or 12 miles away. Ordinarily, that doesn't seem very far, but in combat, it can seem like a long way. All of a sudden, there's the water, and it's got to be the Rhine. And there's this big bridge, and we figure any minute it's going to blow.
A standing bridge spanning the Rhine. To the American troops who will now have to make a run for it, it's either a shortcut to victory or a death trap. March 7th, 1945. A platoon of the American 9th Armored Division reaches the Rhine. The Germans, with their command post now on the east side of the river, make last-minute preparations to blow up the bridge. In addition to the regular demolitions, an extra emergency charge is planted near the east end of the bridge.
Right away, you ask yourself, what do I do now? Try to knock out the bridge, or should we protect it so we can get across? This one is up to the high command. Finally, the orders come back to try to get as many troops across as we can. So that shatters our dream of a chance for getting any rest.
Minutes after 3, the bridge guards decide the Americans have come close enough. The attempt fails. The Germans now try to set off the emergency charge. To the horror of the Germans, the bridge, although damaged, still stands. To the horror also of the GIs, who now have to defuse it.
And then, while we're wondering when the main charge will go off, our engineers run right out onto the bridge to pull any wires and remove any charges that are left. The guys doing that job are a bunch of heroes, if there ever were any. The infantry starts across, and we sit on the west bank shooting across the river, trying to keep the Germans down. There's a lot of fire going across both ways.
Infantrymen have made it across. It's the beginning of a beachhead across the Rhine. All afternoon, the infantry streams across, reinforcing the precarious beachhead. Shortly after 5, the German garrison at Remagen surrenders. By the end of the day, the American tanks are ready to try the bridge.
When we finally start to move across, it's a nerve-wracking experience. First of all, it's a railroad bridge. They've got some planking down on it, but if we slide a little, we'll go right in the drink. We finally get to the other side, and I find out that that's the only bridge standing. This means that my tank is the farthest tank into Germany.
With the capture of the bridge, Allied orders are suddenly changed up and down the entire front. An astounded Eisenhower orders Hodges to funnel everything across that the bridge will hold. This is one of my happiest moments of the war, Eisenhower says. We are across the Rhine. March 8th, the Germans begin to react. First to arrive, Stukas. One of the heaviest concentrations of American ack-ack has been moved in to meet them. Hitler, enraged by the turn of events, orders everything from frogmen to V-2s launched against the bridge. The V-2s will kill 3 American soldiers and some livestock. The frogmen are all captured. To handle the traffic, the engineers throw pontoon and Bailey bridges across. Ducks are brought in to carry back the wounded. The sudden crossing of the Rhine is as disastrous to German morale as it is heartening to Allied spirit. Eisenhower would later write, "We knew then that the enemy's final defeat was just around the corner." Suddenly, on March 17th, 10 days after its capture, without any warning, the crippled bridge collapses into the river. 27 of the engineers who have been working to repair the bridge are killed in the collapse. 63 others injured.
As the Americans come across on our side of the Rhine, I slip away. If the Americans catch me, who knows what they might do to me.
We keep moving inland through one little town after another. Sometimes you see the white flag out, but that's only when the town is not defended. Sometimes you see the white flag and sheets and everything else hung out of the windows. Even so, some die-hard German soldier opens fire on you. We are running into all kinds of people. The Germans just put an armband around them and press them into service. It keeps them from being considered spies. That's the law. If they have an armband, that's their uniform, and they have a right to open fire on us. Some of our men stage raids across the Moselle, and they are picking up some kids and old men, and it's amazing the different kinds of people they've got fighting now. Once I'm told there are some Germans down the road that want to surrender. So we go down to meet them, and then I discover that it's a whole army, and they're terrified of the Russians. This whole army surrenders to 25 of us.
Less than 2 months after the Rhine crossing, on April 26, 1945, soldiers of the American Army and the Red Army meet deep in Germany at Torgau on the banks of the Elbe. The 1,000-year Reich dies a child of 12. Lieutenant C. Windsor Miller finishes the war in Yugoslavia. Later is awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for his bravery at Remagen. Today, in the village cemetery at Bernbach, not far from Remagen, there are 4 graves that are a part of the Remagen story. They belong to German officers, scapegoats of the bridge fiasco. Condemned by a flying court-martial, they were shot in the back of the neck to placate the Fuhrer's wrath. Jacob Kleibach, after fleeing the captured bridge, escaped to the basement of his nearby home where his wife hid him for 12 weeks. Today, Remagen is home for Jacob Kleibach. The ruined towers of the bridge a familiar sight. But for him, as for those who crossed it under fire, the vanished bridge is only a memory, another legend swallowed by the Rhine. In January 1943, the Allied leaders assign a top role to air bombing. The terrors of sky warfare, first used by Germans, are now to be turned on Germany. The Allies are prepared to drop 2 million tons of high explosive on strategic targets. Germany is to be bombed into submission. The Americans flying by day and the British by night are organized into the combined bomber offensive. Their orders are to destroy the Luftwaffe in the air and on the ground. Until this objective is achieved, the planned invasion of Europe cannot be undertaken. Rugged and dependable B-17s are the mainstays of the American air fleets. Operating at altitudes of 25,000 feet, they are well able to hit most targets in Germany. With each passing week, the airstrikes gather momentum as more crews and bombers are sent off by day and by night from England. One American airman joining these attacks is Corporal Russell Duke.
We have had 2 different briefings, and we've been told what our target is and the things to watch out for. We seldom go to Berlin or any other target in a straight line. Also, we try to alert as much of Germany as possible to keep them guessing as to what our target is going to be. As we reach the continent, a feeling of tension begins to mount. It will not leave us until we return to home base. See flak for the first time, do you realize that the enemy is really shooting at you?
feindliche Bomber.
One of the airmen now defending German skies is the Luftwaffe ace, Major Wilhelm Herget.
I don't have to tell you that we get slightly tense waiting for our orders. When the standby order comes through, we know that in 15 minutes we will take off. We all feel kind of weak in our knees, but it is understandable. Fighting is hard business.
Hier spricht 7 Viktor. Viktor, 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 3, 2, 0. 3, 2, 0. Abfrage Viktor.
I climb up to 6,500 meters. Has the pilot seen me or not? I fire at the plane at a very short distance. I get caught in the spin of it and begin to roll down. At 2,000 meters, I manage to catch myself.
The results of the American daylight air offensive in Europe have proved discouraging to Allied planners. The cost has been high. In some raids, more than 20% of the flying fortresses are lost.
Very dangerous, it's painful?
No, it's not painful.
Your name is Philip J. Gibbons.
Yes, sir.
Gibbons, G-E-B-B-O-N-S. Are you wounded?
Twisted ankle.
Twisted ankle, but that's all. You can walk after all.
Yes.
pilot on this first trip here today. Can you give us a story on what you ran into right around the target or any enemy defenses?
Well, Captain, we approached the target over the river, practically on the target, where we ran into quite a bit of flak, dropped our bombs. Looked like we did a lot of good and did a hell of a lot of good. Well, we were attacked by either some 190s or 109Es. 3 of them in formation, white. They dove down on us and then swooped up under. And West, the ball turret.
Who's West, this boy here?
Yes, he's my ball turret man. He knocked one of them off, at least one, I'm pretty sure.
1944 has opened with furious air assaults on the Luftwaffe forces. But now with new Mustang and Thunderbolt fighters arriving in increasing numbers, daylight bombing becomes practical. The Americans at last have a powerful escort plane capable of protecting bombers to and from their targets. By spring, the campaign has risen in crescendo with massive blows at the German aircraft industry. The Luftwaffe is finding it increasingly difficult to deal with the number and frequency of these attacks. They have lost hundreds of first-line defense fighters. Pilots are ordered into the air only when vitally important targets are threatened. By June, the Luftwaffe is limping badly, and the capacity of German airmen to interfere with Allied operations is drastically curtailed. Allied mastery of the air over Normandy is so complete that on the eve of D-Day, Eisenhower can tell his troops, "You needn't worry about the air. If you see a plane, it will be ours."
It's a clear day, so we'll bomb intermittently. One button, one bomb. Salvo is when every bomb in a bomb bay goes at once. But today we drop bombs so they hit every 50 feet or so. They are thermite bombs, which break into large hot clusters, hot enough to burn right through steel. On the way back, I see 5 or 6 of our previous target areas. Every town is knocked right out of the war, completely covered with craters.
In September, top priority is given to 11th hour retaliatory measures. The V-2 was launched against England. Traveling faster than sound, the bomb-carrying rockets cannot be stopped by anti-aircraft guns or fighter planes. But Londoners by now have grown accustomed to Hitler's scare tactics and prove once more they can take it. Their view of the buzz bomb is, you'll always hear the one that's missed you, but never the one that's hit you. But the Luftwaffe's chief hope lies in the accelerated production of another weapon, the first jet plane, the revolutionary Messerschmitt 262. The few models that are operational prove what a potent threat they can be to the Allies, who have nothing to match them. German underground factories are set up to produce 1,000 a month. The cream of the Luftwaffe pilots are gathered together to fly them.
The rockets enable us to take off from a relatively small runway. The plane is airborne after only 1,200 meters, and the landing gears roll in before you know it. The average cruising speed is 900 kilometers, and with a little bit more pressure, it can be brought to the speed of sound. It is unbelievable. We feel again that Germany is the master of the air.
December 1944. In the air, the combined bomber forces have established almost complete air superiority. The German leaders are forced to desperate expedients. Factories providing certain types of war goods are dispersed to the country or relocated underground in bomb-proof shelters. The breakdown of Germany's industrial output is a grim omen for the Luftwaffe. The production of jet fighters and other aircraft is slowed to a standstill. Despite the danger of these setbacks, the Luftwaffe continues to resist. On New Year's Day, German air units assemble for a major offensive against Allied airfields on the continent. Of Allied planes are destroyed or severely damaged. It has been a brave but hopeless effort, for the Allied air offensive continues to increase its power to destroy. The air war reaches a peak of intensity. No city, however small, is safe from destruction. The thin line that has separated selective bombing from area or indiscriminate bombing has almost disappeared.
We fly in an easterly direction at approximately 3,000 meters. Suddenly, I see a large point moving towards Frankfurt. I am shaken. I have never seen so many 4-engine bombers flying over Germany. Poor city of Frankfurt.
Schwarze Armada A 2964, Höhe 6000 Meter, Höhe 6000 Meter. Achtung, Achtung, Siegfried 5, Siegfried 5.
By night and by day, German civilians are feeling the full impact of modern war. 1.5 million tons of bombs have been dropped on Germany. 250,000 people have been killed as a result of the raids, and at least 500,000 buildings totally destroyed. Germany is now living in its own cellars. Despite the devastation the endless tons of bombs bring to their cities, the Germans manage to keep home morale high. Our walls may crumble, but never our hearts, is the slogan planted over the rubble.
Why are we fighting? We are fighting for our country, but what are we gaining?
shall all have to forget certain things in each country when this war is over. And we will forget. One day we will shake hands across the border, and there won't be another war again. We will shake hands and try to understand one another.
Allied raids take place in April 1945. There are no big targets left. If victory in the air is complete, the war on the ground is destined to continue a while longer. But the collapse of the Third Reich is assured. Its economy is in shambles. Its armed forces destitute and immobilized. Its industry out of commission.
Minding our own business, when suddenly there's an announcement on the radio. VE Day has just been declared. I feel sort of relieved to know that I'll never have to fly another mission. We are out of it. That part of the war is over.
Major Wilhelm Herget will make 655 flights before being captured by the British in May 1945. Later, he will return to Germany and his ruined printing factory in Stuttgart. Sergeant Russell Dupe will be flown to the United States shortly after VE Day. He will be discharged in Florida in the fall of 1945, and then will return to his native Kansas. Germany is now a scarred landscape of ruined cities. Berlin, Hamburg, Dresden, Cologne, Frankfurt, Bremen, Mannheim, and a litany of others. Since January 12, 1945, the greatest Russian offensive of the war has been underway. 180 Red Army divisions under Marshal Konev, Marshal Zhukov, and General Rokossovsky sweep everything ahead of them. By January 27th, Zhukov's armies have swept across the river Oder and in a matter of days reached the fortified town of Kustrin. One of the Red Army soldiers is a 27-year-old infantry captain, an expert linguist from Rostov, Gregory Klimov.
I'm assigned to Marshal Zhukov's army group. I don't enjoy fighting. I never did enjoy fighting. It's a dirty job, but it's a job you have to do. There isn't any choice sometimes. As a Soviet soldier, I must acknowledge that some Russian soldiers regard the German army as superior to our own army because they are skilled in technical ways of fighting, and we have to pay a higher price in blood.
One of the German soldiers stationed at Fortress Kustrin is a captain in the paratroopers, a professional soldier, Gerhard Hurst.
Fighting with Russians isn't anything new with us. They always fight with great brutality. I think the feeling about fighting is in all of us the same. Not to fall into the hands of the Russians, not to become a Russian prisoner of war. I'm not afraid to die. Mostly I'm too busy fighting to think about it. There's much hatred among the Russians for what some of the German soldiers have done in Russia.
While Fortress Kustrine holds out, a desperate band of German refugees flees westward to escape the inevitable rape and reprisal of the Red Army. February 18th, the scattered and demoralized German forces are pulled together for an all-out counterattack. But even as the battle starts, the weather turns warm, and the panzers and the attack bog down in the mud. Zhukov's troops cut the German line to pieces. March 24th, the Russians make an unexpected attack, smash the line, and isolate Fortress Kustrine. The Germans counterattack to reach the city, are driven back. A second attempt is made with even greater losses. 800 Germans escape as the fortress is finally abandoned. Stalin confidently announces, "Berlin is ours now, whenever we choose to take it." As the Russians move forward, they advance along roads littered with the wrecked vehicles of an army now running for its life.
Everything is so mixed up. One doesn't know. Should one defend oneself or fight to protect the country or the civilians? It's terribly confused and nobody knows what to do. Everywhere we see wounded people. We try to help them, to drag them along with us. Nobody alive should fall into the hands of the Russians. We fight in one position, then we have to change it constantly. We are here today and there tomorrow. We have no idea whatsoever what is happening at any other battle places in Germany. We only know we have to fight. to hide from the Russian panzers, but always the fear of falling into the Russian hands drives us on.
Against the advancing Red Army, the Volkssturm now takes the field. An ill-equipped army of teenage boys and grandfathers, the Volkssturm faces the battle-hardened Russians, eager to finish Hitler, Germany, and the war. To Hitler, the Russian armies are still Asiatic hordes, fit only to be exterminated like vermin. Each Russian advance brings a fresh promise of victory from the Fuhrer. Hitler moves his command post back to Berlin, to the Fuhrer bunker, the concrete-walled burrow under the Reich chancellery, to direct the last desperate defense of Germany's capital city. Early in April, he predicts a miracle. Dr. Goebbels assures the people the Fuhrer knows the exact hour of its arrival. Hitler forbids the building of defenses within the city. In secret defiance, Hitler's generals build roadblocks and tank traps. April 13th, Vienna falls to the Russians. As his armies fall back, Hitler retreats further from the world of reality. April 15th, with the Red Army poised for the final offensive on Berlin, 1,000 British and American bombers come over the city for a combined raid.
Whole sections of Berlin are in flames. The civilian people of Berlin are starving. They all sit in the cellars with nothing to eat or drink. Many have only a few clothes left. Many families are divided and don't know what's happening to each other.
April 16th, 5 o'clock in the morning. More than 40,000 Russian cannon and rocket launchers, the so-called Stalin organs, signal the beginning of the end for Berlin. .300 Russian tanks, 8,000 planes, more than 1 million soldiers of the Red Army move out to break Fortress Berlin. April 16th, 1945. The final Russian offensive against Berlin is underway. April 20th, As Hitler celebrates his 56th birthday, predicting Russian defeat, the Red Army overruns the hastily abandoned Wehrmacht headquarters south of the city. The Russian advance is relentless, moving on the city from the east, the north, and the south. April 21st, elements of Zhukov's army penetrate Berlin's northern suburbs. While Goebbels insists that the Mongol horde will be thrown back across the Oder, the slogan of the more cynical Berliner has become, "To the front by streetcar."
Guns have the city under heavy shelling. I hear that we have 100,000 guns, and I believe it. The Germans call it Fortress Berlin. They like to call any fortified city a fortress. But when we break through it, we will break the German spirit too. The losses during the last few months have been so great that many criminals have been released from prisons all over Russia to fight in the army. Thieves, burglars, and murderers. You are not sure who is next to you. From the time we reach the first suburbs, we have to fight foot by foot, house after house, block after block. Not only artillery, but even the tanks have to fight in the city. Without artillery cover, the tanks can't advance at all. The more we advance into the center of the city, the more the fighting doesn't cease. The Germans have slogans that every house, every home and building must become a fortress, and they are fighting to the bitter end.
From the very first, it's a fight from man to man. All our military units, even the smallest groups, are encircled by the Russians. Once I hear a German soldier call to me. He's badly wounded and he calls, "Please help me, please take me with you." And then this dying man is shot before my eyes.
Hitler orders a full-scale counterattack which never comes off. His reaction is hysterical. For the first time, he orders the German people told of his presence in Berlin, that he will personally take over the city's defense. As his generals urge him to flee to the south, he shouts, "I will never leave Berlin. Never." In line with Hitler's belief that Berlin would never be penetrated, the defenses are limited. Now hastily thrown up roadblocks and tank traps are quickly overrun. Against 225,000 spearheading Russians, the city itself has approximately 75,000 ill-equipped and ill-trained defenders. In spite of all threats, German desertion has now become commonplace. By April 25th, as American and Russian troops meet at the Elbe River, Berlin is completely surrounded. Escape, rather than defense, is now uppermost in most minds.
All over Berlin, German soldiers are posted to stop soldiers who give the appearance of running away. Those they catch are shot immediately. Everywhere we go, we find the Russians are already there. What should we do now? We still wear our uniforms, pistols, medals, helmets. We can't go on dressed in uniforms. Together with the faithful privates, I find some civilian clothing and try to make our way out of the city.
Approaching the center of the city from all sides, the last barrier to the Reichstag is crossed on April 28th. As the Russians battle their way toward the building and the honor of planting the red banner on its top, Hitler makes his will, leaving the German leadership to Admiral Dönitz. In the early morning hours of April 29th, Hitler and Eva Braun are married. At 3:30 in the afternoon, while the battle for the Reichstag rages, they commit suicide, and their bodies are burned.
The height of the Battle of Berlin is the fight for the Reichstag. For us, it is the very symbol of Nazi Germany.
April 30th, the day after Hitler's suicide, the red banner flies over the Reichstag. At 8:23 on the morning of May 2nd, the Berlin garrison surrenders. Five days after the fall of Berlin, on May 7th, 1945, Germany surrenders unconditionally. The war in Europe is at an end. Gerhard Hurst escapes the Russians but finds that this is not enough. Trained for 20 years as a professional soldier, it takes years to establish himself in civilian life. For Gregory Klimov, too, the adjustment is difficult. As an American immigrant, the language barrier excludes him for some time from the practice of his engineering profession. From the devastation of the city came the end of Europe's bitterly fought war. In the rubble of Berlin, in the haunted chancellery and the empty chair of Hitler, one set of problems ended and another began.